The day my daughter-in-law slapped me, the house went very quiet. Not the normal quiet of a peaceful afternoon. It was the kind of quiet that feels heavy, like the air itself is holding its breath. Her hand had just struck my cheek. My keys were still in my hand. And her eyes were full of anger I had never seen before. "Give me the house keys," she said. For a moment, I could not speak. This was the same girl I had welcomed into my home 5 years earlier. The same girl I had cooked for, cared for, defended when others judged her. And now she stood in front of me like I was a stranger. My cheek burned, but strangely, that was not what hurt the most. What hurt the most was that my own son was standing behind her. And he said nothing. He did not move. He did not look at me. He just stood there, silent. In that moment, something inside my heart became very still. I slowly looked around the living room. The sofa I bought with my late husband. The clock he had fixed with his own hands. The curtains I had sewn many years ago. This was the home where my son grew up. The home where I had spent my whole life. And now my daughter-in-law was asking for the keys, as if I did not belong here anymore. But that slap, that moment, it did not start that day. No. The truth is, it started long before that. And I did not see it coming. My name is Lillian. I am 62 years old, and I have lived in the same small house for more than 30 years. My husband Daniel and I bought this house when our son Marcus was just 3 years old. It was not a big house, but it was warm and full of love. Daniel worked as a mechanic, and I worked part-time at a small grocery store. Life was simple, but we were happy. Marcus grew up running through these hallways. I remember the sound of his little feet on the wooden floors. I remember him laughing in the backyard while Daniel pushed him on the swing. Those memories still live in this house. But 15 years ago, Daniel passed away. It was sudden. One day he was fixing a car in the garage, and the next day he was gone. After that, it was just Marcus and me. He was 22 then. For many years, we supported each other. We shared dinners at the kitchen table. We talked late at night about life and work. Marcus was a good son. Quiet, thoughtful, respectful. So when he told me he had met someone special, I was happy for him. Her name was Vanessa. The first time I met her, she brought flowers and a bright smile. "Mrs. Lillian," she said politely. "I've heard so much about you." She was beautiful, confident, and full of energy. At first, I liked her very much. Marcus looked happy when he was with her. And that was all a mother really wants. After 2 years, they got married. Since the house had 3 bedrooms, Marcus asked if they could stay with me while they saved money. Of course I said yes. "This is your home," I told him. I truly meant it. For the first year, everything felt normal. We shared dinners. Vanessa helped cook sometimes. We watched television together in the evenings. But slowly, small things began to change. At first, they were so small that I barely noticed. The first sign came one evening at dinner. I had cooked Marcus's favorite meal, roasted chicken and potatoes. Vanessa looked at the table and sighed softly. "Oh," she said. "Chicken again?" I smiled politely. "It's Marcus's favorite." She shrugged. "Well, Marcus isn't a child anymore. We should start eating healthier." Her tone wasn't rude, but something in it felt sharp. Marcus laughed awkwardly. "It's fine, Mom. It smells great." But Vanessa barely touched her plate. After that night, she began changing things around the house. Small things at first. She rearranged the kitchen cabinets. She moved the living room furniture. One afternoon, I came home from the store and saw that the old family photos on the hallway wall were gone. I found them in a box. "Vanessa," I asked gently, "why did you take down the pictures?" She smiled casually. "They looked outdated. I'm thinking of redecorating." Those photos had been there for 20 years. But I said nothing. I did not want to cause tension. Over time, Vanessa began making comments that left me feeling uncomfortable. One evening she said quietly, "This house feels so old sometimes." Another time she said, "Marcus and I really need our own space." I understood that young couples needed privacy. So I tried to give them room. I stayed more in my bedroom. I spent more afternoons visiting friends. But the feeling in the house continued to change. Vanessa became colder, less patient. Sometimes she spoke to me as if I were a guest, not the owner of the home. Marcus noticed it too, but he avoided the topic. Whenever I tried to talk about it, he would say, "Mom, she's just stressed." Or, "She didn't mean it that way." I wanted to believe him. But deep inside, something felt wrong. Then came the conversation that changed everything. One evening, Vanessa sat at the kitchen table with Marcus. I could hear their voices from the hallway. "We need to talk to your mother," she said. "About what?" Marcus asked. "This house." My heart beat a little faster. Marcus lowered his voice. "What about it?" Vanessa's voice was firm. "If we're going to stay here, things need to change." I stood there quietly, listening. And that was the moment I realized something serious was coming. A few weeks later, Vanessa approached me in the living room. "Mrs. Lillian," she said, sitting down across from me. "Marcus and I have been thinking." Her tone sounded calm, but her eyes were cold. "We believe it would be best if the house was transferred into Marcus's name." For a moment, I thought I misunderstood. "You mean, the ownership?" I asked. "Yes," she replied simply. Marcus shifted uncomfortably beside her. "Mom, it's just paperwork," he said quickly. "Nothing would really change." But something inside me felt uneasy. "This house belongs to your father and me," I said softly. Vanessa leaned forward. "And Marcus is your only son. It will be his one day anyway." "That's true," I replied calmly. "But not today." Her expression tightened. For the first time, her polite smile disappeared completely. The room became very quiet. Marcus cleared his throat. "Mom, Vanessa just thinks it would make things easier financially." "I understand," I said. "But I'm not ready to make that decision." Vanessa stood up suddenly. "You're being unreasonable." Her voice was sharp now. "I've lived here for 5 years," she continued. "This house is part of our future too." I remained calm. "It's still my home." She looked at Marcus. "See? This is exactly what I told you." Marcus rubbed his forehead. "Let's just drop it for now." But Vanessa did not drop it. Over the next few weeks, the tension grew worse. She stopped speaking to me unless necessary. She slammed doors. She complained loudly about the house being too small and too old. Marcus became quieter each day. And then, one rainy afternoon, everything finally broke. The slap. I was standing in the kitchen when Vanessa walked in. Her face looked tense. Marcus was behind her. "We need to settle this today," she said. My stomach tightened. "Settle what?" "The house." She crossed her arms. "We've decided Marcus should take ownership now." I shook my head slowly. "I already gave my answer." Her eyes flashed. "You're being selfish." I felt hurt by that word. "Selfish," I repeated softly. "I gave my life to this house and to raising Marcus." She stepped closer. "Well, it's time to move on." Marcus finally spoke. Vanessa calmed down. But she was already angry. "Just give us the keys," she demanded. I stared at her in disbelief. "The keys?" "Yes. If you won't transfer the house, then at least let Marcus manage it." My voice trembled slightly. "This is still my home." And then, before I could say anything else, her hand suddenly struck my face. The sound echoed through the kitchen. Marcus froze. The keys slipped in my hand. Vanessa looked at me with cold anger. "Give me the house keys," she said again. My cheek burned. But I did not cry. Instead, I looked at my son. He stood there, silent. In that moment, my heart broke in a way I had never felt before. Without saying a word, I placed the keys on the table. And I walked slowly to my bedroom. That night, I packed a small suitcase. Not because they forced me, but because something inside me told me it was time to leave. I called my sister Clara. She lived in the next town. "Can I stay with you for a few days?" I asked. Her answer came immediately. "Of course." Before leaving, I looked around the house one last time. 30 years of memories lived in those walls. But sometimes, love means letting go. I left quietly the next morning. For several days, Marcus did not call. But then one evening, my phone rang. His voice sounded different. "Mom, I'm sorry." I stayed silent. He continued. "I didn't realize how far things had gone. It turned out that after I left, Vanessa had begun making plans to sell the house. That was when Marcus finally understood. He had believed her words for too long. But now the truth was clear. A week later, Marcus came to see me at Clara's house. His eyes were red. "Mom," he said softly, "please come home." I looked at him carefully. "Is Vanessa with you?" He shook his head. "She moved out." For the first time in days, I felt my chest relax. Marcus sat beside me. "I should have protected you." His voice trembled. "I'm sorry I stayed silent." I placed my hand over his. Sometimes people learn lessons the hard way. A month later, I returned to my home. The house looked the same, but something inside me had changed. Marcus moved into a small apartment nearby. He said he needed time to rebuild his life and learn from his mistakes. Our relationship slowly healed. We began having Sunday dinners together again, just like the old days. As for Vanessa, I heard she moved to another city. I do not hate her. Anger only poisons the heart. Instead, I chose something different. Peace. Because life is too short to carry bitterness. Sometimes the people we trust hurt us in ways we never expect. But even then, we can choose dignity. We can choose calm. And we can choose to keep our hearts open. That day in the kitchen, when my daughter-in-law slapped me and demanded my house keys, I thought I had lost everything. But in the end, I did not lose my home. And more importantly, I did not lose myself.